As ironic as it is, Marvel has tried 4 separate times now to launch the Fantastic Four into a live-action franchise. First with their unreleased 1994 version, then with the mid-2000s films, and in 2015, they had that nightmare of a film. And now, in the year of our Lord 2025, we finally have the newest take on the first hero family in the MCU, a franchise that's seen better days. I don't need to explain the current state of the MCU, everyone knows what's happening there. But after Thunderbolts and the new Spider-Man show surprised me, and with how much positive reception there's been around Daredevil Born Again, a handful of Marvel fans are starting to think this studio's cooking up a comeback, and whether or not this was good was going to prove that comeback for a lot of fans. Not for me, though. I wasn't ride or die for this film despite how I acted in my Superman and Thunderbolts video, and I doubted it was really going to change the trajectory of the franchise moving forward. But I'm sure it'll still be a fun 1960s flick, and hopefully the best interpretation of these characters to date. I love being right. I feel like you can tell if a Fantastic Four adaptation is good by how it portrays the Thing. The 2000 film was my favorite before this one came out, and it is a nostalgic ride. But Ben is the best part of the film and a genuinely nuanced character. And the 2015 movie decided to make his iconic catchphrase the byproduct of his brother's abuse. What are you doing? Here, they treat the Thing with the respect he deserves and portray him the way he should always be, as Jack Kirby, but with rocks. Another part of Ben's character is that he's one of Marvel's most prevalent Jewish characters, just like I mentioned with Superman in the last video. And here they actually show him in attendance at a Jewish synagogue before Galactus arrives, which is really sweet. For a Marvel movie, to have even that little bit of representation is a lot to Jewish viewers. Granted, he's only there for Natasha Lyonne, but I think anybody would be there because she's a phenomenal actress and person. I wish we got to see more of her character, but I guess we can save her for sequels. I really like how they changed her name to sort of pay homage to Jack Kirby's actual wife, which is really sweet. The rest of the four are also really good. Johnny has the right amount of hot headedness for his character, but he also has that underlying heart of gold that only the 2007 film got right. Reed is portrayed with the right amount of smarts and strength, and I really like how they portray his intelligence as the thing for him, but also show that he isn't that good with people's emotions. I mean, if you read a comic, you know that's him. His emotional inability contrasts really well with Sue, who was kind of the goat in this movie. I hadn't seen Vanessa Kirby in much, but now I want to binge her whole filmography. Sue Storm has been depicted really weird in past films, so to see her hold her weight more than any of the others here is amazing. Her and Reed have great chemistry together, and I really love their back and forth and their arguments over what's the right thing to do about Galactus and the baby. But also, she gave birth on the edge of a black hole. I'd be fighting to protect my baby too. Like, this is a weird sentence, but that's one of the coldest ways to give birth and one of the best shots in the MCU ever. The cinematography is on point throughout, actually, and the CGI never really looks that bad. At some points, like when the Thing is holding the baby, he looks a little bit off, and there are some shots where they could have polished the Silver Surfer a bit more, but it was still a million times better than the MCU in 2020. And speaking of her, Shala Ball. This girl not only had killer aura, but managed to be the best portrayal of the surfer I have ever seen. Granted, the only appearances outside of comics I've seen is the 2007 film and the Superhero Squad show as a kid. But here she feels like a fully fleshed out, sympathetic, kind of funny character, and also a straight menace. Riding on the edge of a black hole, rising out of magma, phasing through the hyperdrive, she doesn't miss!
Stop the cap!
I may be glazing, but I really like this surfer, and I know I'm gonna get hate for that for some reason. She rides a surfboard and is shiny and chrome. Why are you throwing tantrums about the surfer being a woman? The retro 60s design is also a real nice touch. It treads new ground for the MCU, but treads familiar ground for the 4th, since this 60s space age era was what they were made in. I love how vintage this film feels, and I'm glad they never abandoned this beautiful aesthetic. Props to the production designer Kasra Farahani for all his work. I especially love Herbie's design, along with the fantastic car, the New York City sets, and the costumes by Alexandra Byron. When most MCU suits look pretty normal with overcomplicated lines and paneling, she does a good job of making these suits feel retro and as a visual unity of the Force family bond. They hammer that home really well, but I wouldn't say it's a groundbreaking theme. I do think Thunderbolts had more to say with what that film was tackling, and I do think I prefer Thunderbolts as a whole, but I still really did like First Steps. Do I think the MCU is back? Maybe. I'm going to be seated for Brand New Day opening weekend and will most likely tune into Eyes of Wakanda whenever that comes out. I'm going to give Fantastic Four a 7.5 out of 10. It's not a great film, but it's a breath of fresh air for the MCU and another step in the right direction for this franchise. Now, this would be the part where I say, go watch the movie and form your own opinions. Farewell, insert reference to the film here. But I need to talk about one thing with this film. One major spoiler in the end credit scene. One that kind of dooms my interest in this franchise being back. I am not excited to see Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. That's not to say I think Downey is a bad actor by any means. If anything, his long lasting career and recent Oscar win are proof that he is. But I don't think he's the right actor for this character. Doom hasn't been done justice in live action, even though the recently deceased Julian McCann did give a good performance in those mid 2000 films. But his ethnic background of Latvian and Romani descent has been underplayed or unimportant in nearly every adaptation, and the role should have gone to a Romani actor. Now, do I think RDJ will permanently be attached to this character? God, no. At least I hope not. From what it looks like, Secret Wars is going to reboot the MCU, and I doubt that Downey is going to stay as his character post-reboot. But for lots of people, this is going to be their first take on this character. For me, it'll be my third outside of the comics, and the only other two I've seen haven't stuck with me. Well, I say that for the most part. Whenever I read a Doctor Doom comic, all I hear is the voice actor from Superhero Squad. I love that guy so much. The movie hasn't even come out yet, and this version of the character has been stuck in the back of my mind for 11 months now. From the small number of Doom comics I've read, I've loved his character, and I plan on reading more before Doomsday comes out, like the recent Ultimate run with him, Infamous Iron Man, Books of Doom, or the Doom one-shot released last year. Now, will I end up seeing Doomsday? Yeah, but not before Doom Messiah, which is the same day. But I kind of only want to see that film to see Cap's Avengers, the New Avengers, and the Fantastic Four interact. And if RDJ ends up blowing me away with what he and the Russos decide to do, I will admit that my skepticism was wrong. Really, all I need for them to win me over is an MF Doom needle drop. If they don't play Doomsday or like any of his music, I'm walking out of the theater, even over the end credit scenes. That's all you need. But for now, that and the cameo fest that Doomsday and Secret Wars will probably be are the two things holding me back from saying the MCU is back. Hey, Editor Baylor here. I hop back on the mic to say one thing. I saw the new Spider-Man costume. We are so back, baby. Marvel is winning. Let's go.
Let's celebrate. Celebrate good times. Come on. Let's celebrate.